It's not at all uncommon for a man in his early 20s to go through a quarter-life crisis. I've been through something of a quarter-life crisis myself, and I'm always sort of questioning where my purpose is, which direction I'm going, where the end goal is. I thought I'd make this video to try and help those who don't quite understand the nature of purpose and whatever it is you do as a man with a masculine essence. I'll try my best to give an insight into the true nature of purpose, that you and all the people around you can be the most fulfilled versions of themselves. It starts off with a tale as old as time, and it goes like this. Hard times create strong men create good times create weak men, and weak men create hard times. This cycle of the rise and fall of virtuous masculinity is a natural one, and as of right now, we're down here. Weak men create hard times. But the problem is that I think we'll be stuck in this phase for far too long, because our current generation of men is distracted, divided, and the worst of them all, purposeless. According to David Dada, men or those with a masculine essence are purposeful beings. Without purpose, they float adrift and are uninspired hollow shells of themselves, who flit between shallow vocations, projects, and ideas to escape both their sense of self and their lack of center. Now, a man's purpose may indeed change, but without that passion, without that hunger in their eyes, without that fire running through the veins and along the spine, with which a man aligns every single one of his actions around, striving for truth, good, and freedom with, from the very deepest seat of his soul. Without this, he is lost. And in the stewing pot of resentment, boredom, and weakness, the hard times ensue. But if this sense of purpose is so important, what exactly should this purpose be? Going past the goals applying to any creative, scientific, athletic field, what do all the grand purposes of men share in their nature? For this, we must interrogate the core tenets of masculinity. Academic, social critic, and feminist Camille Paglia, hope I'm saying that right, once said, "A woman simply is, but a man must become." You can sit and think about what that means for a second, but to me, it alludes to a sense of traditional masculinity. That a man must be capable, a man must be competent, providing, producing, building. That he is born without as much value as a woman inherently, and thus must become something. He must prove himself. Now, not to discredit this perspective or label it inherently wrong, but I believe that man also to some extent is. That instead of existence as a man being in a constant chase of becoming, there exists an innate purpose which he can abide by, in fact should abide by, to ensure that he and his people, his community, remains as long as possible in the stage of strong men create good times. The rationale that led to these conclusions comes from a couple thousand years ago, from Epictetus, one of the forefathers of Stoicism. Sold into slavery by his parents to the Romans, he didn't have the greatest start in life, the poor sod, but either through enduring intense suffering and torture or the time he'd spent reflecting in between, he discovered the truth of man when man was stripped down to the bone. The only thing we truly possess is our character. And no matter man's physical prowess, business intellect, imagination and strategy, if his body and mind are broken, the only true strength he can control and attest to within his soul is his will, his might, and his spirit. His ability to stay true at any cost. A true man, says Epictetus, never acquiesces to falsehood, indignity, or despair, because the spark of God within him can never be extinguished. Or coincidentally, as one of my favourite artists, Freddie Gibbs, puts it, judge a man by his character and not by his wealth. Number one with the bully. And despite the idea being thousands of years old, it applies so well to our modern day. Because we live in an era where exponentially improving AI and robotics will quickly make the classically viewed masculine vocations of producing and building increasingly obsolete, a man's purpose has no choice but to be steeped in this principle, which is to preserve a good, strong, and unyielding character of moral virtue. This attention economy also has us sniffling and scuttling around like lab rats, looking for the next short-term fix because we can't see past the maze walls. And now it is so easy, so simple to trade the integrity of your being, sell your soul for short-term benefits that don't align with your values and principles, and become one of the weak men contributing to the hard times. And because it's been so easy, there's a present lack, at least in my mind, of truly strong masculine role models who assent to truth, virtue, and the betterment of society, placing others before themselves. It's a shame really, because to find guys like this, you have to look to the past. Someone like JFK, Abraham Lincoln, the Lord Jesus Christ himself, all men killed for their pursuit of truth and the greater good. It passes logically then that in truly living in accordance with one's authentic purpose, one must be willing to die, spiritually or physically, to defend their beliefs and defend the strength of their character. So therein lies the opportunity. Now it sounds extreme, but spines of steel weren't forged in the midst of some half-assed uncertainty. Now all the doom and gloom from mainstream media and social media and all the constant distractions will have you disregard this, but the 4-stage cycle stays true. The truth is, right now, we live in the hard times. But at the heart of chaos of every crisis lies the opportunity. And in this case, the opportunity is to become one of those strong men born out of the hard times. Should we strive for it? Our generation of men can become these strong men who vie for positive change, who build not to fortify their own egos, but for the betterment of society, to lead their communities in a greater direction, and to act as prime examples. I believe it is our duty as men, especially men in our early 20s, to not just become, but to decide every day to be strong, virtuous male role models. And also to accept that our masculine imperative is to give our gifts for the betterment of our communities, without expectation of some reward, but for the virtue and prosperity that must be held along with our characters, which really are just microcosms of our communities. It's like MJ said, change starts with the man in the mirror. And this begins now. If you're in your 20s or just entering them, I get it. You have to work on yourself and your own success. Put on your oxygen mask before you can help anybody else put on theirs. Trust me, you really want to discover your direction and strive for your absolute highest potential. But keep that long-term goal in mind. And then by your 30s, when you hit your male peak, seek to lead, seek to give, seek to stay true, seek to advise, seek to abide by your principles so that you may be a supreme male role model who can act as the wise figure of inspiration, aspiration for the youth and for your kids. I want you to grab this opportunity by the balls, seize it like it's the only thing that matters, like it's the deepest layer of your masculine purpose, your true essence, because really it is. David Data speaks about how the ultimate purpose of masculinity, of the masculine essence, is freedom. And the way to achieve this is by letting go of everything and giving all your gifts away so that you may be free in the giving of your gifts. And in my mind, becoming the best version of yourself so that you may lead others to do the same is the ultimate freedom to receive and the ultimate gift to give. To paraphrase Jack Mallers, a Bitcoin and Strike CEO, the way he loosely puts it, a strong motherfucker puts the betterment of others before himself. Now, before I move on to giving you some practical advice to actually apply this in our modern day and for our generation of men who are trying to get into their 20s and achieve success and follow their purpose, I want to leave you with this. What higher purpose is there than to leave this world a better place than you found it, and to equip those you left behind with the tools to continue doing so? Now I want to give you some practical advice, some things you can actually apply and think about in order to try and pursue and achieve this masculine role model ideal. My goal with this video wasn't to try and prescribe a man's exact path, but I wanted to provide a framework of purpose and lay down what I believe it means to act and be purposeful as a man. Whatever it is you do, if you want to be the world's greatest guitar player, or if you want to be some manufacturing business mogul, the same spiritual force applies. Number one, living honestly and living optimistically. Know what I mean? I mean living righteously, living in accordance with your principles, with your values, living with an open heart, even if it hurts. Living in your truth. Whatever is true to you, don't compromise, don't lower your standards, your truth for any comforts. Stick to your principles, stick to your truth, and also be ludicrously optimistic. So have hope. Anything is fucking possible. Anything. Anything you set your mind to, no matter who you are, is possible and you can achieve it. And you must believe that so deeply in your soul that you can go forth out into the world and prove it. Not just to them, to yourself, and become the highest version of yourself that you can. Number two, being a net producer to society. This means just producing more than you consume. Don't get into any debt, don't take on too much leverage. You need to have a lot more that you've produced, that you've given to the world, and in some monetary form receive back, than that you take from the world. When you give your creative gifts, when you give your contribution to society and the world, when you get that monetary gift back, when you receive the monetary reward, reinvest that, put it back in. Invest a difference into your business, invest a difference into your creative pursuit, invest a difference in making everything you do better, and invest into your future. You have to also build yourself up in this game. You need to create a better future. You know what I said before about having the oxygen mask in yourself before helping anyone else. So if you're into assets, you don't want to stock pick. This is not financial advice, huge disclaimer, but hard asset in our sort of times where, you know, there's quite a lot of instability and invariably there's going to be a lot of money printing. They tend to do well with hard assets like gold, like Bitcoin, like silver as well. Like gold and silver have been a little rip. I think Bitcoin's next, but Again, not financial advice, who knows? But you want to invest in things that are real, that are scarce, that you know are going to be there in 30 years time when you need them. It's really just to build a solid foundation for yourself so you can springboard off and focus on your goals, your true purposes, the higher things in life, and giving back to your community. Because if you don't have that foundation, then you don't feel as stable to do that. Number 3 is training your body, but it's not just for the strength that you gain physically and not just for how you look, but it's for your strength of mind. It's to challenge your spirit and challenge your spirit to endure. Like this could be, if you want a David Goggins, like ultra marathon, 24-hour race where you just don't stop and you never give up. You train your mind to keep going no matter the cost. But if you don't want to do that, you could just do like a 4-minute wall sit, something like that. You have to get your brain in the mode of being in the present moment and constantly trying to overcome the doubts, the fears, the pain, everything that's pushed towards you that might just make you quit. All the little voices that are saying, stop, stop, stop. You gotta learn to stay in that present moment, breathe, and keep going through it. Because that's always ever gonna be. You only got the present moment. You only got the time that you experience right now where things might be hard. But if you can train yourself to the point where in every single time you get to that present moment, the things are hard and you keep going, you will achieve a lot in life, my friend, and you will be able to give so much back to people because of that strength within you. It's also about proving to yourself what you're truly capable of. If you can lift heavy weights, that's great. Like, I love doing that as well. I'll always be lifting some heavy circles, like that's just a bit of me. But maybe also try and do like 100 pull-up challenge and do some bodyweight endurance stuff. Like, it's also great for building muscle, great for getting the strength there as well, and having some consistency. But just challenge yourself, try and put yourself out of the box and put yourself in a situation where your spirit has to endure. Number 4, become religiously aligned to your purpose and spiritually aligned with the divinity within you. Now, I know we just had a whole talk on purpose and what the deepest purpose that a man can have is, but you will have purposes that set you forth and give you direction in life. Like we said before, like you're gonna be the best guitar player in the world. Your purpose, right, is to practice guitar, get better at guitar, get better at playing difficult songs, creating your own melodies, creating your own riffs, something like that, etc. You wanna focus on that, but also know that the deepest purpose is exactly what we've just been saying. And when it comes to the divinity within yourself, what I'm talking about is the highest version of yourself, the highest, truest version of yourself with the most potential that God has placed within you, that he wants you to realize, so that you may achieve great things for him, to glorify him. It's not just for yourself, this highest version of yourself, where you achieve your truest potential. It's also, as we've been saying, to better society, to better the world around you, to better God's creation. Last but not least, number 5, read widely and allow your mind to wander. Instagram and TikTok, and even long-form platforms like YouTube, are most definitely frying our brain, turning us into two-dimensional, black and white, this versus that thinkers who are being rage and shock baited into oblivion, which is low-key getting tiring. What I've noticed is that the great thinkers and great leaders throughout history who can maintain an open mind are those who are widely read. They've always been curious readers of lots of different topics. If you used to be a reader like me, like I would read as a kid all night. It's the only way I used to be able to get to sleep, and you can't really read anymore, or not that you can't read, but you haven't been reading, you haven't picked up a book in years. Start on Substack. That's what I'd recommend. I've got Substack. I just read articles there. Try and read the long form articles, go through them, and retrain your brain to start reading long form content again and get thinking about different perspectives and ideas. It's all to let your dopamine levels rebalance as well. Or you can also just pick up an actual book. Like, we can plant more trees. The world's not going to burn if we keep having physical books. The key here is to embrace the varying perspectives, but to hold true to what stands out to you. Also, don't fall into the trap of just staying rigid when you read these views. If you feel uninspired or stuck in your ways, it's probably because you've been consuming the same content and going to the same sources for inspiration. So keep reading, read something new, allow yourself and your mind to wander into new fields, all to preserve some clarity and abundance of truth within you, so that you may bring that when you share that wisdom with the younger generations to come. Build the future that you want to see. And I want to see a future where we have more really strong and truly masculine, almost like Greek philosopher style role models that inspire young men to become better versions of themselves and become great leaders in society and do great things. Like, I've read that book by Robert Greene, Mastery, and I keep thinking about how many strong leaders and thinkers and creatives and builders there are in there, and how really I don't see as many people like that in the modern day. So I want myself, hopefully, and also the people that I'm reaching out to through this video, to try and become like this, to try and become the best version versions of themselves and become great male role models in the future. Finally, I just want to credit this post that I read on Substack recently by a guy called Russell Walter, which inspired this video. It'll be in the description below. If you fancy, just go and read it. It will definitely widen your perspective. Now, if you made it all the way to the end, thanks so much for watching the video, and I'll see you in the next one. I hope you enjoy it.